Okay. All right, good afternoon, folks. Welcome to this virtual meeting. This is our information session that we'll be conducting virtually for our next round of public information sessions regarding the New Mexico State Parks fees proposals. Those of you who have participated in the past, we did earlier this spring a series of 12 meetings for our state parks fees proposals. And this is a product of those meetings. This is kind of the second round to provide information to the public as to how we've adjusted in accordance with the feedback we received. We received over 900 written comments and over 400 people attended the in-person and virtual information sessions. My name is Toby Velasquez. I'm the director of the New Mexico State Parks Division. We're coming to you from our conference room here in our Santa Fe headquarters. I have Wendy Mason to my right. She's our marketing manager. I have Jared Langenegger. He's our field operations bureau chief, and he'll be leading the conversation as we go through our PowerPoint. And I have Mies Garcia. She's our bureau chief for administrative services. And she's just going to make sure and keep us on track and make sure that we stay timely and are responsive to the issues at hand. Welcome. We have quite a few folks that have joined on. We're going to give maybe another minute or two for those who are still joining, and we welcome you all. This will be about an hour presentation, and Jared's going to take the lead on this, but this is really a demonstration, in my opinion, of a state agency that went with a proposal to the public, received tremendous input from the public, and has now taken that into our decision making. And I think people will be pleased and will understand that we did integrate what we heard into the revised proposal that you'll be getting a presentation on here in just a few minutes. So we're proud of that. We're happy that we got the feedback that we did. And we're happy to bring this back to the public as we promised in the first round. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Mr. Langenegger. Jared, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Toby. Let me go ahead and just share my screen here so we can get the presentation up. Just one moment here. So as Toby said, I'm Jared Langenegger. I'm the Field Operations Bureau Chief for the division. And this meeting is to give us some more information about our fee revision process. We've been in the works on this fee revision for quite some time. We've got about a 30-minute presentation we'll go through, then we'll have some time for questions and answers at the end. Right now, we have everybody that's called in or signed in muted, and we have the chat function turned off, just so that there's no distractions during the presentation. And then after the presentation, we'll turn those things back on and take questions and answers, comments at that time.
Jared, can you do a quick check on audio, make sure everybody's hearing us? Let's see, Ms. Traeger, are you hearing us okay on your end?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that. I was muted.
Excellent.
Okay.
We can hear you loud and clear as well. Sorry, Jared, I just
Okay.
wanted to make sure we were talking in a vacuum here.
And the ASL interpreters, I don't see them.
Okay. So we're good to go?
The ASL interpreters, I don't see them showing. Could an ASL interpreter, can you start your video?
I can see myself and the other participants. I don't know why you guys can't see us.
So our cameras are on. It'd be up to you to pin us if you want us on the stage.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not able to pin you for whatever reason, so. So we'll just have to find that. That's fine. You can go.
Okay, great. Well, as Toby mentioned, this is part of the process of us revising our fees for state parks. It's been quite a process. We've been working on this for several years now. Our state park fees are set by administrative rule. And in order to change those, we have to do a rule amendment, a rule change process. What's required for that process is essentially us publishing a rule change saying that we're going to change some part of it, this being the fees. We publish that in the New Mexico Register, newspapers, send out a bunch of letters, things like that. We have a 30-day comment period and then one hearing, and that's the basic part of what's required to change a rule. In this process, our fees have not been changed in at least 20 years. This is a huge change for not only us as a division, but also our visitors and our customers. So we wanted to go above and beyond that. As Toby mentioned, we held multiple public meetings previously in February and March. We took public comment through that process, and now we have added that public comment and amended some of our recommendations, and we'll present that here in today's presentation. Where am I? Here we go. So our process to this point is we started our state parks internal fee study, which compared our fees to inflation to surrounding states. In January, we completed that study in July of 2023. And from there, we went to our administration asking for approval to change our rules and adjust our fees. That approval was granted, and we developed proposed changes to our fee structure. We came out with what we thought was fair for our fees, presented that to the public. We started the rule change process. We held public information sessions from January through March of this year, and collected and reviewed over 900 public comments as a result of that. Our initial recommendations included waiving day use fees for New Mexico residents. It included a $10 per vehicle charge for day use for non-residents. We initially recommended doing away with our differentiation in primitive camping and developed camping, essentially just making it one camping fee at $20 per vehicle. We made a recommendation of raising our utility fees, our water, electric, and sewer fees to $10 per day. And we recommended eliminating all of our annual passes, our annual day use passes, and our annual camping passes. We had recommendations to raise the entrance fees at Living Desert Zoo and Garden State Park, and to change our vessel registration fees for motorboats. And we had a recommendation to add a vessel launch fee for non-motorized craft. We also had a recommendation to change the parking fee at Rio Grande Nature Center from $3 to $5 per vehicle. One of the most important recommendations that we had in our initial proposal was to add in our rule a requirement that state parks review our fees every 5 years and make adjustments for inflation. That part of our recommendation, we are going to try and push forward and carry that forward into our next recommendation. With these recommendations, we received a lot of public feedback. We held meetings across the state and virtually, listening to questions and comments from the public. We had meetings at Mesilla Valley Bosque State Park, Elephant Butte Lake State Park, Living Desert Zoo and Gardens. We held a virtual session, much like we're doing today. We had a meeting in Tucumcari, Las Vegas, at Navajo Lake. Rio Grande Nature Center, we met with our friends groups. We had virtual meetings with non-governmental organizations, our Parks Advisory Board, and park management staff. We had over 400 people attend these public meetings, both virtually and in person, and received over 900 written comments through the Postal Service, email, and hand-delivered at the public meetings. We went through these comments, reviewed all of them, and consolidated them based on their opposition to the specific recommendations that we had. So the way we evaluated the comments was We looked at each recommendation we had, and if a comment was opposed to that, we created a spreadsheet and made a tally mark for that comment being opposed to that specific recommendation. We also added categories, including comments that were for all, people that said, we like all the recommendations, that's great. Against all, people that said, we don't like any of this. And then neutral were comments that weren't really related to the fee study or the fee changes that we're doing, and comments that didn't really relate to state parks. When we looked at the comments on annual passes, we broke it out, being that somebody saying, don't do away with annual passes. We made a mark in each one of the columns for annual day use, annual camping, non-resident, resident, senior, and disabled. But if somebody was specific in their annual pass comment saying, don't do away with the senior annual pass, then we just made a mark under the senior annual pass column. In the comments that we received, we did receive some duplicate responses. Some people sent their comments in multiple times. We tried to remove those where possible and just have one comment per person. And then we tried to compile duplicate responses from the same email address. So maybe somebody sent in an email, said, I don't like this part, and then a couple days later said, oh yeah, I don't like this either. We compiled that into one comment. It's important to note that our comment evaluation is not 100% accurate because some interpretations required. Sometimes people may make a comment on something and not use correct wording or things of that nature, and we have to take our best guess at what they're trying to say to us. Most of the comments that we did receive throughout this process indicated that it's understandable fees must be increased. So most of the comments that we got said, I don't want you to eliminate camping passes, but I understand fees have to go up because of inflation and things of that nature.
And Jared, could you, for the record, just mention how we posted all of the comments?
Yes, so all of the comments that we received were posted on our website. They're still up on our website. If you want to go review those, you can see any of the comments that we received that are posted up there in a PDF format. So when we looked at these comments, like I said, we developed an Excel spreadsheet, tallied up opposition comments for each recommendation that we had. When we looked at these, the highest level of opposition we received was to eliminating the senior and disabled annual camping passes. 40% of the comments that we received were opposed to eliminating that pass. The next highest that we received was elimination of the annual camping pass. 33% of the comments were opposed to that. 29% of the comments were opposed to eliminating the non-resident annual camping pass. 23% were opposed to eliminating the annual day use pass. And then 19% of the comments were opposed to making day use free for New Mexico residents. Other than that, the other comments, the other areas that we had comments in were less than 15% opposed. When we look at the comments that we received that were against all, there were 32% of the comments we received say they were against the entire thing. Of those comments, most were from an automated email system, basically a system where they send out a petition to people, you give them your name, email address, and it sends out a form letter saying, we oppose all of this. When we dig a little bit further into some of the comments and some of the opposition, our comments that we received for the eliminating the senior and disabled annual camping pass, most of those comments reference the need to consider senior, disabled, and veteran populations. There's a bit of discussion that a lot of these populations are on fixed incomes, may not be able to afford to get out into parks if they don't have this annual camping pass. We had several suggestions from folks on how to fix the situation. Those suggestions included keeping the current annual camping pass as it is, basically don't do anything with it. We had comments that said we keep the annual camping pass for seniors and disabled, but increase the fee. There were recommendations to implement a discount pass that allows a certain percentage off from park fees Some other states have a card that you can buy that allows you, say, 50% off of park fees, things of that nature. And then there was a recommendation to implement free access for seniors, disabled, and veteran populations. In regards to the resident annual camping pass and non-resident annual camping pass, there was significant interest in keeping these passes in place. A lot of people felt that these passes made it affordable for New Mexicans to get out and enjoy family-friendly recreation. Some of the suggestions we included on these passes were to keep it as it is, don't make any changes, to keep it but increase the fees, to keep only resident ACPs but eliminate non-resident ACPs, again, to create discount passes, to create multiple state punch cards where you would buy, say, 10 nights of camping at a discounted rate and get a punch each time you went to the park. To reduce the stay limit to help address some of the issues with annual camping passes, and to create seasonal camping passes for off-season use. When we look at the comments on the free day use and the annual day use passes, most of the comments opposing free day use had to do with concerns for overcrowding, resource abuse, crime, and the inability to manage for increased use. A lot of the comments we received felt that if we had free day use, that the parks would become overcrowded, would cause resource damage, things of that nature. They felt that it would be more difficult for parks to manage if there was free day use. Some of the suggestions we received were to keep the annual day use pass but increase the fee, create resident and non-resident annual day use pass fees, so differentiate between the two of them, reduce day use fees but don't eliminate it, so maybe drop it to $2 instead of $5, and then to provide free or cheaper access to less busy parks. So essentially do dynamic pricing where parks that were super busy still had a day use fee, but parks that didn't get as many visitors would have free or cheaper access. There were several concerns that we received overall as far as the fee study goes and the fee recommendations go. One of the biggest concerns that we received was that New Mexico is a poor state. The most common criticism was that our comparison of New Mexico to other states, surrounding states, Colorado, Arizona, Texas, that those states have a higher median income and a lower poverty rate. And so there was a feeling that maybe we were skewing our results by comparing to states that were not as economically disadvantaged as New Mexico is. We also received several comments stating that increasing fees would hurt people on fixed or limited incomes. We received comments stating that before we increase fees, we need to improve our maintenance or staffing. That's kind of a chicken and egg scenario. In order to improve our maintenance and staffing, we need to have additional budget to be able to do that. We received concerns related to management of fees and inconvenience. Some of the comments we received felt that if we had like our paddlecraft launch fee, that would be difficult for us to manage for. We also had several comments saying that they liked the convenience of having an annual pass where they didn't have to stop and register or pay each time they went into the park. And eliminating that would make it more inconvenient to go to the park. And then we did receive several comments asking us to look at dynamic pricing, basically charging different rates for different seasons, busier parks, things of that nature as well. In order to address concerns that we received, we went and did a little bit of additional research to address the concerns about our comparisons to states that are better off economically than New Mexico. We went and pulled up the 5 closest states to us: Mississippi, West Virginia, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Louisiana. They all have comparable or lower median incomes than New Mexico and comparable poverty rates as well. We compared our current rates to their camping rates, and what we found was that we're still quite a bit behind, even looking at states that are similarly economically disadvantaged as New Mexico. The information we used for this, we pulled the median income information from the Federal Reserve economic data. We pulled the poverty information from the USDA Economic Research Service, and the fee information we got from the National Association of State Parks Directors Annual Information Exchange. When you look at day use and these other states, with the exception of Louisiana, none of them charge a day use fee. When you look at developed camping for these other states, currently New Mexico charges $10 a night. These other states charge between $14 and $45 a night for developed camping. When you look at full hookup camping, we charge $18 a night. These states charge between $17 and $45 a night. And then primitive camping, we charge $8. They charge between $9 and $22 for primitive camping. So we appreciated the comment that we needed to look at other states that are in a comparable economic situation in New Mexico. We've done that research, and that research does show that we are behind them as well. We also heard concerns about overcrowding, resource damage, things of that nature. To ensure we made the best decisions, we reviewed our visitation trends throughout the year and identified peak visitation for our state parks. What you're looking at here is our average visitation by month from 2021 through 2023. And just as we would expect, our peak visitation is between May and September. In the winter months, it drops off significantly for most of our parks. In looking at this information, it helped us evaluate looking at changes to stay limits and looking at where we might need to adjust fees and maybe adjust our recommendation for free day use. So after looking at all the comments, after looking at additional research, we came up with revised proposals for our fees. This first slide is going to talk about revised entrance and camping fee proposals. We're not going to cover our annual camping passes just yet. That'll be the next slide. So what we looked at is, as far as the day use, our initial proposal was to have free day use for New Mexico residents, $10 per vehicle for non-residents. Right now, we are still working on the day use fee for residents. Our proposal, after talking to our staff, receiving comments from the public, what we'd like to see is a situation where we charge a $5 day use fee during our busy months from May through September, and then have free day use in our slower months. We're working with our administration to solidify that, and we'll be happy to take any comments that people have on that type of situation. For the non-residents, our proposal is to keep it where we had it at $10 per vehicle. We're also looking at, so in our initial proposal, we differentiated fees for residents and non-residents just for day use. Through the comment period, we received several comments saying we should have differentiated fees for residents and non-residents for camping as well. People felt that non-residents paid differentiating fees for other things like fishing licenses, hunting licenses, so that it would make sense that we would do the same for park fees. Our revised proposal takes that into consideration, and we have proposals for non-resident camping fees. We also heard the comments loud and clear that people didn't like us lumping in primitive camping and developed camping. So we have separated those out again and have proposals for primitive and developed camping. So what we came up with for primitive camping for residents is $10 per vehicle, and for non-residents, a fee of $15 per vehicle. What we came up with for developed camping for residents is $15 per vehicle, and for non-residents, $20 per vehicle. We looked at our utility fees and the information we received. Our initial proposal for water fee was $10 per day. we feel that, dropping that to $5 per day would be adequate. Our initial proposal for electric was $10 per day. We feel that keeping electric at $10 per day, is fair. We spend a lot of money, not only repairing and maintaining electrical services in the parks, but also paying for that service. And as most of you know from your home electric bills, they don't ever go down, they continue to go up. So we feel that it's important that we maintain adequate funding for maintaining and paying for our electrical services in our parks. The sewer fee, we initially proposed $10 per day. We're dropping that to $5 per day. It's important to note with our utility fees, water, electric, and sewer, that those are only charged where they're available at the campsite. There was a lot of confusion in our initial meetings, people thinking that they had to pay all those fees whether the site had that utility or not. Campers only pay those fees when the site has it available at that site. So if your site doesn't have water, electric, or sewer, you don't pay for that. Our dump station fee, initially we had proposed a dump station fee of $10 for all users. We heard a lot of feedback on that, a lot of concerns about environmental concerns, people dumping on the side of the road. So what we've come up with is our dump station fee will remain free for our campers. People that are in the park camping, already paid a camping fee, will be able to use that dump station at no additional cost. But somebody coming in off the road, like somebody coming in from the Forest Service where they were camping and just wanting to dump, they will need to pay a $10 per use of that dump station. Living Desert, we maintained our initial proposal recommendations from $1 to $10. The parking fee at Rio Grande Nature Center, we maintained that at $5. And then the Smoky Bear Historical Park recommendations, we maintained those proposals as well. When we looked at annual passes, this is probably where we received the most feedback from individuals. Initially, we had recommended eliminating our annual passes. We found that our annual camping passes can cause misuse. They can cause a reduction in sites. They can cause issues with people living in parks. And for those reasons, we were looking at eliminating those passes. However, based on the comments that we received, based on the interest in this pass, what we're looking at now is maintaining these passes, adjusting the price on them, and then working with our reservation contractors to help eliminate some of the fraud that we're seeing. We've been working with our contractor to eliminate double bookings, fraudulent pass numbers, things of that nature. We're proposing amending stay limits during the busy season to reduce people occupying sites for long terms. What we're proposing there is a 7 out of 20 day stay limit from April 1st to September 30th, and then a 14-day stay limit out of 20 days from October 1st through March 31st. And we're also working on increasing enforcement and verifying appropriate annual camping pass use. Our last holiday, Memorial Day, we worked diligently with our officers, sent out information on passes that appeared to be fraudulent, had them verify those in the field, and were able to cut down on some of those issues. So our revised proposal, again, we will be proposing keeping all of these passes, but also having a resident and non-resident option for each one of them. The annual day use pass for residents, we are proposing keeping that if we maintain a fee. Like I said in the previous slide, that's still being discussed. But if we maintain the $5 fee, even during the busy season, an annual day use pass per resident would be priced at $75. That would essentially mean that somebody would get 15 visits to the park for the cost of that pass, which we feel is fair. The non-resident annual day use pass, we have priced at $150 in our new proposal. That again breaks out to 15 visits at $10 per visit. For our resident camping pass, annual camping pass, we're proposing putting that fee at $300. That would essentially equate to 20 nights of camping at the $15 per night rate. The senior and disabled camping passes, we're proposing putting those at $150 a piece. That would be 10 nights of camping for those passes. We're also proposing adding a New Mexico military annual camping pass. We received a lot of feedback asking about what we're doing for veterans, military members, active duty. And currently we do have a free annual day use pass for them. We have 3 nights of camping, but we received a lot of input saying that we should be doing more. So what we're proposing is adding an annual camping pass for New Mexico military, to be active duty or veteran, and setting that price at $150, the same as the annual camping pass for senior or disabled folks. And then the annual camping pass for non-residents, we're proposing setting the fee at $600. That would equate to 30 nights of camping at the proposed $20 a night fee. And then replacement annual camping pass, we're proposing setting at $25. With the boat registration proposal, we maintained a lot of that. We received some feedback, but not a whole lot on the boat registration fees. One adjustment we did make is for the 2 largest classes of vessels in the state, Class A and Class 1, that's where most of New Mexico vessels are registered. We reduced our initial proposal. So Class A was initially $75 for 3 years. Our new proposal is $60 for 3 years. That comes out to $20 per year, which is actually less than you would pay for registering an OHV with the state. For the Class 1 vessel, initially we proposed $90. We dropped that to $75 for 3 years. And then our Class 2, we kept it 120. Class 3, we kept it 150. Vessels over 65, we kept it 180. And the duplicate registration fee, we kept it 25. We also had in our initial proposal a non-motorized vessel launch fee. With our new proposal, we are eliminating that recommendation. So when you look at all of these fees based on inflation, our proposals come out pretty close. When you look at the proposal for day use, the inflation adjusted cost for day use comes out to $843. $10 per vehicle is not that far off of that. Primitive camping comes out to $1546 for an inflation adjusted cost. You know, we're right on there. Developed camping inflation adjusted cost comes out at $1933. The non-resident is right on. Resident is a little bit lower. The utility fee inflation adjusted cost is $773. The $10 per day is a little bit higher there, but the water and the sewer is a little bit lower, so it balances out. When you look at our annual passes, the annual day use pass inflation adjusted cost is $67. $75 for residents is not that far off of that. The annual camping pass for residents inflation adjusted cost $303 is right on. Essentially, we have made everything where it pretty well meets inflation cost with a little bit of addition for non-resident users. When we look at how this may impact our budget, our initial proposal, we were looking at adding somewhere around 5.6 million in estimated revenue impact. With this revised recommendation, we're looking at a potential impact of around $4.8 million. There again, this is our best guess. We don't have information about how many people may decide not to camp or how many people may decide to buy passes. This is based off our existing data and may be subject to change going forward. So in our last presentation, we did a comparison to other states. And we did a comparison to our current fee based on our proposed fee. This first slide shows a comparison of our current versus our proposed fee based on a 3-night stay at one of our state parks. And currently for primitive camping, a 3-night stay would be $24. For residents, the proposed fee would be $30, and non-residents, it would go up to $45. Our current fee for developed sites with no utilities for a 3-night stay is $30. Under our proposed recommendations here, the resident fee would go up to $45 and the non-resident fee would go up to $60. A site with water, our current fee is $30 because we currently don't charge for water. The proposed fee for residents would go up to $60 and non-residents would go up to $75. Site with electric and water, currently we charge $42. The proposed fee for residents would go up to $90 and non-residents up to $105. And then a full hookup site, our current fee is $54. Proposed for residents would be $105 and $120. Again, for a 3-night stay at a state park. When you compare this, a full hookup site, we did this in our last presentation, so just to compare the same thing here. When you compare the cost of a full hookup site for the 9 other states that we compared, not only our surrounding states, but states that are in a similar economic situation to New Mexico, the 3-night stay comes out pretty even. The New Mexico resident fee compared to those other states would be right around the bottom. The only states lower would be Mississippi and Louisiana. The non-resident fee would be right in the middle, with all the economically disadvantaged states below it, with the exception of Arkansas. We did this comparison by making online reservations for 3-night stays with full hookups at Utah Escalante Petrified Forest State Park, Texas Cedar Hill State Park, Colorado Crawford State Park, Arkansas Bull Shoals White River State Park, Arizona Lake Havasu State Park, West Virginia Beach Fork State Park, Kentucky Columbus Belmont State Park, Mississippi George P. Coster State Park, and then in Louisiana it's Sam Houston Jones State Park. And just a note on the comparison for Louisiana, it's at $99, but that site did not have sewer. So a timeline for our implementation of these new recommendations. Again, we started our fee study back in January of 2023. We completed that in July. We conducted meetings from December through March of this year. We took public comments up through March 29th of this year. We've been reviewing and revising recommendations through April and May. And now here in June, we have public meetings set. This is our first one, the virtual meeting. We'll be having a meeting tomorrow in Tucumcari, on Thursday down in Truth or Consequences, on Monday, next Monday at the Rio Grande Nature Center in Albuquerque, and then next Tuesday at Navajo Lake State Park. After we complete those meetings, we will go back and make our final recommendations for our rule, publish a rule change, hold another 30-day comment period, hold a final rule hearing, hopefully sometime in August. And our goal for implementation of any rule changes would be January 1st of 2025. Again, this is a tentative timeline based on how things play out. Again, we're going to have additional rule recommendations. Anytime we open up a rule, it's good to go through and make sure that we make adjustments as needed. One of the most important things that we feel we need to maintain in here is the 5-year review of park fees and adjustment based on inflation. 20 years, 25 years, 40 years in some cases for our boat registration is too long to not adjust those fees. It causes us to have a huge jump and causes sticker shock. So we really feel it's important to get into rule a requirement that we every 5 years review and adjust our park fees based on inflation. We're looking at amending stay limits to reflect peak seasons for camping. We're still looking at clarifying checkout times for campsites. Still looking at including Cerrillos Hills as a park that does not allow camping. It's a day use park. Still clarifying official use of OHVs. Still looking at allowing use of OHVs by concessionaires in some areas. Still looking at removing the allowance for OHVs on ice fishing lakes. Still looking at removing the exception to fees for the conscious concession. There is no concession there anymore, so we don't need that language. We still need to amend our language for foster family free access based on recent legislative changes. We will be eliminating the reference to wildlife blind fees because we have no wildlife blinds. We would still like to add a short-term concession permit. And then, of course, still be cleaning up spelling and grammatical errors in the rules. Those are the recommendations that we have. As I mentioned, we'll be going through holding these informational meetings. This virtual one, we'll be holding them in person. Based on the conversations that we have, based on the input that we receive, we're going to go ahead and redraft the rules, hold our 30-day comment period, and then have our final rule hearing hopefully sometime in August. If you have comments that you would like to provide, you can provide those to the email on the screen. You can give me a call. The phone number there is listed as my cell phone number. And then if you would like to find out what comments were submitted or any of the information that we have, you can go to our website there, and the fee study, all the information from this process is going to be posted there. With that, we will go ahead and accept comments, questions that anybody has. If you would, please raise your hand, and Mish will unmute you and we'll take comments.
How do we ask on the phone?
Go ahead, since you're there, go ahead.
My name is Jeannie, and I just was curious. This is Gerald, correct?
This is Jared. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. So I can't see anything. I don't have a computer. I'm not online. Can you tell me what that cell phone number is you volunteered?
It's 575-420-1733.
Okay, and the other question, I'll just keep very brief. I know others have many questions regarding reservation fees on the reservation site, because as a senior, when we're making reservations, there's the fees which add to the camping expense. And has that been looked at all?
So our reservation fees are set by our reservation contractor. We have a contract with Aspira Reserve America to manage our central reservation system. We're currently in the process. Our contract with them expires in November, and we're currently in the process of soliciting bids for that service, for our central reservation service. Based on what bids we receive and what interest we have, we'll negotiate with whoever the new contractor is those fees. Being that we can't manage our reservations ourselves and we have to have a third-party contractor do that, they have to charge a fee to make money on it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have anybody volunteering to do that. The other option we have is to put that into our fees and pay them from state parks. It works out better for us to go ahead and have that fee be a user fee that the user pays at the time that they use it. But yes, that is going to be a part of our discussion whenever we accept new bids and new proposals. We'll look at those fees and make adjustments accordingly.
And I will be able to see all of the results of this meeting, including all the PowerPoint presentations that I couldn't see if I go to your website after this meeting, correct?
Yes, this meeting itself is being recorded and it will be posted online. The whole recording will be. You'll have to give us a little bit of time to do that. It takes a little bit of time to download it and get it uploaded to the website. But I would say by the end of the week, we should have it on the website.
It's gonna be on
Okay,
the-
thank you very much.
I'd like to ask a question.
I have a person with their hand up, Paige.
I can't put my hand up. I'm on the phone.
Okay, let's take the call-in users first and then we'll go to.
Go ahead and do other people first and I'll catch you at the end.
Go ahead, call-in user 4.
Okay, so my name is Diane and I'm confused about what the fee is going to be if the annual senior camping pass goes to 150. We used to pay $4 for our camping with electric and water. So what will we be paying now in addition to the increase in the camping pass?
Great question. So our annual camping passes cover the basic developed camping fee. That's the way they're set up now. That's the way they'll continue to be set up. The proposal for the annual camping pass for seniors would be $150 for the year. That would cover the proposed developed camping fee of $15 per vehicle per site. You would pay the additional utility fee just like you do now. So if there's an electric site, it'd be $10 per day. If there's water there, it would be $5 per day. If there's electric, water, and sewer, then it would be the $20 per day.
Okay, now we pay $4 for electric and water. So do we pay $4 plus $10 plus $5?
No, the $4 fee that you pay right now is our electric fee. We currently don't charge for water, so you don't pay for water right now. You would just pay.
Right, but what will it be increased to?
The fee would, so if you're an electric and water site, it would be $15 per day.
Okay, and there's no $4 charge just to camp?
No, that $4 you're paying right now is for the electric hookup.
Okay, so $15 instead of $4 for the same thing, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I only have one more comment. I wish that they would go back and have some first come, first served sites.
Thank you for that comment. We do have about 80% of our sites are a reservation. So we have about 20% of our sites first come, first served. We have been moving to more reservation sites because it's a more efficient way of operating, and it helps ensure equitable access for people to get out to the parks. So I understand that comment and I appreciate that. Did any of the other call-in users that can't raise their hand have comments?
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm Pramila from Butte. A quick question on the Class 1 vessel registration. Can you go over that again? Is the proposal is, number one, I thought that when I register a watercraft, it's going through DMV. Is that not correct?
Yes, your registration goes through, it's processed by DMV. That's correct.
Okay, so how does Energy and Minerals relate to the DMV process? I mean, so is this a separate registration? Now am I registering my water vessel with two separate state agencies or what?
No, sir. You'll still register your vessel through DMV. DMV basically acts as the agency that collects the fees for us and then processes those and passes those to state parks. The registration fees are set in state park rule, and DMV collects those for us and sends those to us. So you're not paying two separate registration fees. It's still the same one registration fee. And you asked about class 1 vessels. Currently, for a class 1 vessel, you pay $36 for 3 years. The proposed cost is $75 for 3 years. So $25 a year. The reason that's such a big jump is it's been 40 years since we have changed registration fees for vessels.
And sir, we reduced our original proposal from the first round for $30 a year down to $25.
Did that answer your questions?
I believe it did. Yeah, on that. Once again, I was just looking. Can you actually give me the URL for the website where the PowerPoints are located, please? Is it under energy and minerals somewhere? I was just looking while I was listening to your presentation. I couldn't find it.
Yes, sir. You can just go to emnrd.nm.gov. So it's basically the abbreviation of energy, minerals, and natural resources. So E is in Edward, M is in Mary, N is in Nancy, R is in Robert, D is in Doug. So emnrd.nm.gov, and then just look for the state parks tab, and then go to the public meetings page.
Okay, and that I should be able to get a previous PowerPoint from the last round of review, and then this one might be posted by the end of the week. Is that correct?
Yes, this PowerPoint is already up there. The presentation that's being recorded will be up there hopefully by the end of the week.
Okay, but the PowerPoint, the slides themselves are already posted?
The slides themselves are already posted, yes.
Okay,
So
now, one final question out of your hair. I'm looking, there was a comment in your presentation about adjusting for inflation, and another comment about things had not been revised in 20 years. For example, an annual camping pass, $180 for a resident, and proposed to go to $300. That looks like a 60% inflation increase. Are you saying that over the 20 years that's your calculated inflation rate?
Yeah, we got the inflation numbers using the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics CPI inflation calculator.
Okay.
And I'll go back to that slide here in just a second. For you and anybody else that had questions about how to find the presentations, I just wanted to show the website. So when you get to our website for state parks, you can scroll down and there's a little arrow there. You click on the state parks, scroll down to the part that says public meetings, and that will take you to the page where we have all of the information from our informational meetings. It has the schedule, it has the link here. We'll post the recording, and we've posted the PDF of the presentation as well. So let me go back now to the presentation and answer your question about the inflation.
I think I understand what you did. I just wasn't following the statement during the presentation. I think I see what you did. So you went back using U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics or somebody back 20 years or something like that, or a number of years. Use that.
They have a inflation calculator on their website where you can enter whatever year you're starting at. So, for example, our annual camping passes and annual day use passes, the price was initially set in 2004. So you enter 2004, and then you enter today's date, and it figures out the inflation rate for you and what that cost would be today.
Okay, I think you've addressed my questions. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other
Thank you.
calling? Okay, let's go to Paige, I believe.
Yeah, this is, hello?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Daniel Nelson, Soil and Water Conservation District Supervisor. And I have just a few questions. Are you going to have meetings in Las Cruces area on this public meeting?
We will have one in Truth or Consequences.
Okay. And the other thing is, when you did the 900, I noticed when we have 2.1 million residents in New Mexico and you only got 900 responses, did you actually put the information to the people using the actual campsites, like when they checked in, say, hey, we have a survey, want to know how you feel about these prices going up? Was there anything to the actual users, or is just people coming to public meetings? And like I said, only 900 versus 2.1 million doesn't show that's much of a input from the public.
Yeah, so the way we got the word out about our initial round of public meetings and rule revisions was we sent out the information to our Reserve America email list. Our users that log in and make reservations, we have their emails. We sent it out to that email list, which is a pretty large email list. We also sent it out to the Department of Game and Fish's email list. Anybody that buys a hunting or fishing license has their email on there, and sent it out to them. We did multiple press releases. We did multiple interviews. We were on iHeartRadio, KRQE. We had it on our website. We sent it out via social media. That was our initial distribution, and we got the responses based on that.
Great, I just want to know that. And then the other question is, with the increase, with the inflationary increase and all that, will there be more people to protect the campers and the campsites? Is there going to be more state patrol or patrolmen of the campsites to help the people if there's any problems, if we do have issues when you put the budget together?
So part of the reasons for doing this, which we didn't cover in this presentation, it was covered in our initial presentation, is State Parks budget has essentially been flat or less than flat for the last almost 15 years. And in that time, we've had to cut staff, we've had to reduce services. This is trying to make state parks self-sufficient, more resilient going forward, and able to better manage our properties in the future. In order to do that, of course, you have to have revenue. We're an enterprise agency. 75% of our operating budget comes from self-generated revenues. A part of that is our user fees. So long answer to a short question, increasing our fees hopefully helps our budget. We see additional revenue from that, and we can start increasing services. The problem that we have is in not increasing fees over the last 20 years, at least, we've lost a lot of services. So we have a long way to go to get back to where we think we need to be. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Toby, or?
Yeah, and I think that's a great question, and I agree with what Jared said. Any additional funds that are raised through self-generated revenues will go back in to support operations across the board. That's staff salaries, that's recruitment efforts, retention efforts, cost of doing business. New Mexico State Parks is trying to modernize as much as possible, and so these fees will be spread across our operational budget to make sure that we can improve in multiple ways.
All righty, and again, Jerry, your phone number was 575-420-1733?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have, and thank you for your public meeting. I kind of wish you'd put, I know it's too late, but Las Cruces being we are a major city down here, and probably be a lot of campers down there, and I see a lot of RVs, a lot of camping, a lot of outdoor stores. I kind of wish we would have had a meeting in the actual Las Cruces area in Doñana. And that's about
So
it.
we
Thank
did
you.
have our initial group of meetings. We did have a meeting down at Mesilla Valley State Park in Las Cruces. The way we selected the sites for our follow-up meetings was where we had the most participation in our initial meetings. And, you know, doing the virtual meeting, I think gives everyone across the state, no matter where they're located, access to the information. And there again, it's posted on our website, and people can review it as they have time or whenever they like. Paige,
well, thank you, Jerry.
for waiting patiently.
Oh,
Okay,
no
thank you.
worries. You guys, thank you so much for all of the work that you've put in. I've followed this for several months now. And as an out-of-state resident, but also a property owner in New Mexico and someone who's, I mean, it's a multi-generational property for me. And so I connected deeply with this process. I consider New Mexico my second home and my future first home. So to see that you guys seem like you have been listening, and I just wanted to tell you that and to thank you, because the changes from from a few months ago to now are very reasonable. I always felt like some of the fees needed to go up, but the proposals previously were missing the point. And now I think you guys have started dialing it in. So I just wanted to give you thanks and kudos and keep it up.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. We felt through this entire process that was our goal. The whole reason that we went out and had 12 public meetings and took comments from the public that way, rather than just having a 30-day comment period in one meeting, is because we realize it's a big impact. It's a big impact to our agency. It's a big impact to the visitor. We rely on our visitors to come out and provide revenue. If you're not coming out to the park, we're not going to be there. So we realize that it's a big impact. We realize nobody likes to see fees going up, but it's been a great process, and I really can't stress enough how much I appreciate the public being willing to engage in this process and providing us with valuable input. You know, folks came back and said, you know, instead of doing this, how about you price it here? We received a lot of great recommendations about specific pricing, about how other states do it, about what they've seen in other places, about what would make it acceptable. So the public outreach, the public input, I think has been great, and we really appreciate people taking the time and becoming engaged and helping us with this process.
Yeah, well, you guys must be doing something right to really foster public engagement, because, you know, coming from a region where people talk a lot about public engagement and have a lot of meetings where behind the scenes they've already got their minds made up, they're just pretending to have public meetings. I appreciate that you guys didn't do that and that you really are engaging people. And I've seen the thousands of entries on the website where people have written you and have been able to give feedback, and you're listening to people in these meetings, and it shows.
Thank you. Other comments or questions?
Could I ask one quick question?
Right ahead.
Regarding revenue along with the fees? My question is kind of out there a little bit, but in looking as a resident of the state of New Mexico, I'm looking at our most recent boost in revenue based on cannabis sales and the taxes resulting from that. Does the Parks Department or Environmental Department, don't they legislate for funding from that additional revenue?
So New Mexico State Parks does receive some general fund funding from the state, but we are set up as an enterprise agency. State parks are meant to be user pay, user benefit. We're required to self-generate about 75% of our budget, and that's where our revenues help us out. I don't know if Toby wants to add anything.
Yeah, and so just a little bit more, maybe clarity. So it's important to note that we do get general fund, but it's a minimal amount. It's only 25% of our operating budget. That's about, for fiscal year 24 was about $11 million. We have a $40 million plus, budget. And so we appreciate the general fund that we get legislatively, but in most years and depending on administrations, that can go down or up. And there's really no way for us to have any predictability with what type of support we're going to get from one legislative session to the next. And so I know that there's a lot of folks that watch the media and hear that there's a lot of oil and gas revenue. That's true. And it does a lot of good across state agencies, but we are limited in the funding that we receive from general fund. And so this will increase an existing revenue stream that's dedicated to the division without any authorization by general fund. And so I think that's important in supporting the division and improving our resiliency, because there's no guarantees how much we will get from year to year regarding general fund support from the legislature.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have another comment.
Go ahead.
I have a comment. Yes, so for the senior pass, that's going up $50, and it used to be if you could stay 2 weeks for what, $48, and now it's going to be $180. That's a huge increase for someone on a fixed income. I don't think our public lands should only be able to be used by people that have disposable income.
I appreciate
Did I
that
lose
comment.
you?
I'm sorry.
I
were you
mean, I don't know.
finishing?
I'm no math genius, but that's a, how many percent increase is that? It's crazy.
So I appreciate
mean,
the
what-
comment, but we also have to take into consideration the cost to operate these facilities. The utility costs that we proposed are offsetting our operating costs for providing those services and maintaining those services. We also don't feel that people not using those utilities or those services should be subsidizing others that are. And currently we're doing that with our water hookups. We're not charging for water hookups. And someone that's not using a water hookup is essentially subsidizing other people that are using it. So setting it up where people that are actually using the service are paying for the service and maintaining that service makes it more equitable all the way around.
So what is the fee then for no hookups for a senior pass?
If you have a senior pass with no hookups, then it would be covered. Our annual camping pass covers base developed camping. What's that? And primitive camping. So if you're not using utilities and you have a senior pass, then you don't pay anything additional.
Okay. All right. That answers my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you have anybody else raising their hand, Mish?
No,
Sally's raised their hand. Go ahead, Sally. Are you there, Sally? You'll have to unmute yourself.
There we go. Sorry, I'm not used to WebEx. I couldn't find the button. So can you hear me now?
We have difficulties with it as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a Zoom user personally. So I'm a non-resident, and I am currently enjoying spending my summer in New Mexico state parks at the current $225 rate. And as one of your other callers who apparently is a resident has mentioned, for those of us living on a fixed income, these increases are pretty substantial. So one question I have is, had you considered a senior rate for non-resident? And is that something you would consider?
We did not consider a senior rate for non-residents. That wasn't a part of our, consideration. That's not how we've had it set up previously. And, that's not to say we couldn't consider something like that, but, no, that was not considered in this.
Okay, and I kind of figured that was true. And then one of the thoughts that I have is, you know, you've got historical data that says how much you've gotten from each of the available annual camping passes and how often they're getting used. And I understand there have been some abuses around those, and I think taking steps to eliminate that is really good. But with these increases, how do you determine what your expected increase in revenue is? I mean, are you assuming that you're going to be selling the same number of passes, or are you making different assumptions?
The assumption that's in the slide is just based off of the number of passes we currently sell. And we realize that with the price going up, fewer people may buy that pass. But that's just the best estimate that we have right now.
And that's kind of what I figured. So I'm going to share with you my discussion with 4 other friends who are also using the non-resident pass this summer. And the 5 of us are all very clear that $600 is too much. So that's 5 that aren't going to be sold next year. And I'm not saying, you know, change what you're doing for me. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that's 100% of the people that I know who are non-residents using the camping pass are not going to do it at these rates. And I don't know if that's something else that you guys want to consider or not. You know, we all come here, we spend a lot of money outside of the parks as well as using the parks. And I think that that's kind of a consideration as well. So just wanted to share those thoughts.
Thank you for that. And we understand that, with adjusting the price, there may be some people that decide that it's outside of their price range. Looking at that, you know, a $600 fee would essentially be 30 nights of camping. So people just need to make a decision if they're going to be staying there for 30 nights or more, it may be worth it for them to buy the annual camping pass as a non-resident. Maybe it's not. But we do need to make adjustments to it so that not only we see additional revenue, but we manage the use of it as well.
Oh, I 100% agree that you need to make adjustments. But I will also tell you this unequivocally, even if I were willing to spend $600 on a pass, I would be really angry if I found the conditions that I have found, for example, in the park that I'm in right now, where there is one women's toilet stall that is operational and has toilet paper, and another one that is theoretically operational but doesn't even have toilet paper in it. And all of the other facilities are closed.
And if you would send me an email with what campground that is, I'll be happy to look into it.
Yeah, I actually have a call into the park manager here as well. And obviously in a public meeting, I'm not going to mention what it is because I'm really not trying to call anybody out. I'm trying to make the point that there has to be a balance between what you're charging and what you're offering.
Yes, ma'am.
So thank you very much.
Steve, go ahead.
Hi, I really appreciate you guys doing these meetings. My wife and I are first year senior pass users, and we've been in New Mexico for about 5 years, and we love the parks. However, we'd love to see some improvements. And I had sent an email into one of the, I think you might have seen it actually, and maybe the Cimarron Canyon manager might have seen it. At any rate, I was one of those guys that said, hey, you know, with all this oil and gas revenue, you know, why aren't we spending a little bit more money, you know, on recreational opportunities for New Mexico residents? Because it's such a great, great state to spend time outside and all the activities. But I guess my question is, since you mentioned earlier that only 25% of your budget is coming from the state, and the rest of it is, you know, revenue from users, and I get that, but that just seems way out of balance. And I know you have no control over that, but do you have the ability to lobby the legislature for more funding, or to have, this, the way the funding is, maybe up to 40% or 50%? Or is that something that has to come from, a representative or a senator, or just, how does that work? Do you have the ability to do that? Or could you present a budget with, here's what we'd like to do, here's how much it's going to cost, how can we make this happen? It just seems like there's a disconnect, and you guys are stuck floating out in the middle of the ocean, just trying to make it balance. And that's really no way to do this.
That's great perspective. This is Toby, the Director of State Parks. I'll try and give you a reasonable answer here. You're right. There is a process. So we each year, a year in advance, file our budget requests for the divisions and the department to the legislature, Department of Finance Administration, and our governor's administration. And it's part of the legislative process. We have been extremely aggressive with our operating budget request, as well as our capital funding request. Under this administration, we've received more support than we've received in a long time. However, our operating budget hasn't improved to really tilt that 25% much more than what it's been. However, we have received a tremendous amount of capital infrastructure, because a lot of the challenges that we have with restrooms, comfort stations, water, wastewater, people don't even see. It's all underground or in walls. And luckily, under this administration and this legislature, we received $20 million in American Rescue Act funding about a year and a half ago. And we have already expended 17 million of that. And we are on target to expend the entirety of that capital funding by this time next year. We're one of the few agencies that can boast about that. We've been very efficient with that. As a result of it, in our FY25 budget, that's what starts on July 1. Last year, we were aggressive and asked for more operation and capital funds. And we received more capital funds than we requested. We requested 10 million and we received 16 million. So this administration is helping tremendously with capital funding. Our operational funds, however, have not been increased much. And I'll give you an example. From FY24 to FY25, we received about $2 million more in funding, primarily for personnel, and the remainder was for operating costs. Not what we had asked for. We were much more aggressive than that, but we're glad that they were positive in both ways, but not to the extent that we could say that 25% split has been increased dramatically. Going back to your second part of your comment, definitely legislators, that's what they do. And so if individuals want to reach out to their legislators and ask them to provide more legislative body support with funding, that is always potentially helpful to any agency. So we would never want to dissuade anyone or any group from reaching out to their legislators and asking them to support state parks with more operational budget. That's definitely within your prerogative.
Well, that's a great answer. Thank you very much, and I appreciate the insight into your guys' efforts at securing funding, because like I said, I'd love to, and that's great news about the 20 million with the infrastructure changes. Obviously, you got to take care of the foundation before you paint the house, and we just hope that we can continue to see more improvements, along those lines. But I mean, these parks are gems, and I've traveled around the country. I've backpacked all over the place. I'm a motorcyclist and a fly fisherman, so I spend a fair amount of time outside. They're just wonderful, and I just feel like they could be so much better, even if you guys just had more to work with. So please keep up those efforts, and we'll be watching closely and hoping for the best.
Thank you for those comments, Steve. You mentioned Cimarron. I just wanted to add into that. And additionally, in addition to the ARPA funds, the capital funds that we receive, we also apply for grants or receive grant funding. Right now in that area, we have, I think it's $1.5 million LWCF project that we're adding a comfort station and restroom facility at Eagle Nest Lake State Park. The second phase of that is going to be to add another camping loop up there. We've had a lot of interest in camping at Eagle Nest, at Coyote Creek State Park in that area. We just added a new camping loop with cabins. These are going to be some of the first cabins that New Mexico State Parks is able to offer to our visitors. At Sugar Eat with LWCF funding, we're also adding cabins up there as well. So where we have opportunities to and where we have the funding for it, we are looking at expanding those recreational opportunities. It just takes a lot of funding and the opportunity to go for that.
Great. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Other questions? You see anybody else raising their hand, Mish?
No, I do not.
Okay. I don't see anyone else with their hand raised. Anybody else want to unmute one of the call-in users or anything like that and ask a question? Just want to make sure we give everybody the opportunity to have their comment or question heard.
I think I'm good. I'm going to be checking out, the website end of the week to see if we get posted.
Jared, can you announce our schedule again?
Yeah, so just as a reminder, our schedule tomorrow from at 6 o'clock in the evening, we'll be in Tucumcari at the Mesa Lands Wind Energy Center. Thursday night at 6 p.m., we will be in Truth or Consequences at their Civic Center. Next Monday at 6 p.m., we'll be at the Rio Grande Nature Center in Albuquerque. And then next Tuesday at 6 p.m., we will be at the Visitor Center at Navajo Lake State Park. And then there again, this meeting will be posted online for review as well. All right. It doesn't look.
Paige, just raise your hand.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, y'all just mentioned Cimarron, and I just wanted to say I see Kenneth on here, and he's an amazing park host, and that's my home waters, and I'm really excited to continue coming back. But Kenneth makes it all wonderful.
Thank you for that. All right, last chance. Well, thank you all for attending. We appreciate your input. We couldn't go through this process without interested people like you providing us input and comments. So thank you very much for that. I'm sorry, did you have something?
No.
Okay, all right. All right, well, we encourage people to stay informed on this. Send us your comments, email us, attend one of the public meetings if you can. And we'll look forward to wrapping this process up and getting something that works for all of us.
Thank you, folks. We appreciate you. Have a good day and take care. Thank you for spending a portion of your day with us.
Leave.